Hi, everybody. Today, we are going to be talking about our informational writing unit that we're just about to start. And I'm really excited about this one because this is one that third graders always really love. And it's because you get to become a teacher, okay? And the way that you get to become a teacher is because you get to write about something that you are an expert at and teach others about that. All right. So, today, we are going to start thinking about what are you an expert at? What is your expertise? So, if you go ahead and look at this document on the screen, it says being an expert at something means you know a lot about it. You have spent a lot of time learning about the topic and know enough about it to teach others. All right, so let's think of some examples with that. When Mrs. Thorsby thinks about what am I an expert at? Like what are things that I have spent a lot of time doing, a lot of time learning about, and I could teach someone else about? The first thing that comes to mind is teaching. Okay. My first one would probably be teaching. Now, I don't think your expertise is teaching, right? Because you're not a teacher yet. Maybe someday you might grow up to be one if you'd like to. But mine would be teaching. Yours is going to be something else. What's something else I might be an expert at, or I've spent a lot of time learning about? Something that I might be an expert at, I've spent a lot of time learning about is dogs. So the reason that might be is because I have had dogs since I was a little girl, like a baby, all the way up until now when I'm 31 years old. We have two dogs, Koa and Kaylani, and I've had lots of dogs before them. So since I've spent so much time with dogs, I've spent a lot of time learning about them. Something else that I might be an expert at. Something else I might be an expert at is wedding planning. Now, you might be thinking, what do you mean? But Mrs. Thorsby spent a lot of time wedding planning. So now that I have spent over a year learning about it, I could help teach someone else about it, right? Because I spent so much time doing it. So now I want you to think about, what are you an expert at? So it might be soccer. You might be an expert at soccer. You might be an expert at cats. You might be an expert at cooking. You might be an expert at baseball. You might be an expert at gymnastics. You might be an expert at singing. You might be an expert at a foreign language, right? All of these things make us different. All of us have different expertise that we could teach someone else. So there is one thing that I'm going to tell you that you cannot choose, and that is video games. So you cannot choose Minecraft, you cannot choose video games, and that is because we're writing about something informational that we can write true facts about. And when we're thinking about like video games and computer games, we're thinking about things that have been made up and created, and they're cool, but they don't fall into our informational category. So I don't want you to be thinking about being an expert at video games. We're not going to choose that for this, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and go over here, and I am going to show you how I'm going to do something called writing long about each one of these topics. And all that means is that for each topic, I'm going to write a bunch of things I know about it underneath it, getting my brain ready to teach someone about this, okay? So let's start with teaching. So what are some things that I could teach someone about teaching? Okay, so you need to go to college to be a teacher. Sorry that it's a little bit laggy. When I'm recording my screen, it goes a little bit slower. You need to graduate high school to be a teacher. There we go. Okay. You can teach elementary, middle, high school, or college. You can teach many different subjects. What else? Teachers keep going to classes even when they're done with school. It's called professional development. We always keep learning new things. Okay, and I could keep listing and listing and listing things I know about teaching. Okay, but for the sake of our example, let's move on. So now I'm going to go to dogs. What do I know about dogs? Oh my goodness. Well, let's see. There are many breeds of dogs. That's something I know about dogs. Dogs come in many shapes and sizes. Dogs have different types of coats, which is like the fur on them. Dogs need to see veterinarians for medical care. Oops. Dogs need food and water. Dogs need shelter. Okay, and I can keep listing all the things I know about dogs. Now, if I were to really spend a good chunk of time writing these things, I could definitely write way more about both of these things. But for the sake of time and the example, I'm going to stop there. So when you go into your Google Classroom assignment today, I'm going to ask you to come up with a couple of things that you feel like you're an expert at. And then I'm going to ask you to write long about those things. So that means underneath it, I want you to write, what are the things you know, right? So if I'm an expert at dogs, what are the things I know about dogs? If I'm an expert at teaching, what are the things I know about teaching? I am so excited to find out what you guys are experts at, because eventually you're going to be writing an informational piece that's going to teach other people about your subject. So while you're thinking about your subjects, I just want you to think like, what could I write about that I could teach someone about? Like, what's something that's unique or interesting that I could teach them about? But it's got to be something I know a ton about. When I think about kids in our class, like, I can think of someone who could teach people a foreign language. I can think of someone in our class who could teach someone a lot about horses. I can think of someone in our class who could teach people about babies. I'm thinking about different kids in our class and different things that they know a lot about because they've been around it a lot. Okay, so I want you to think about, what are you an expert at? What can you teach people? And remember, no Minecraft, no video games. All right, good luck.